Hi, my name is Alyssa Boudreaux, and this is the conversation theory. Gordon Pax developed conversation theory to explain how learning occurs through interactions between individuals or between people and their environment. His work is rooted in cybernetics, explored how humans and machines communicate and adapt with the goal of bridging different fields like science, social studies, and the arts. Pax envisioned a peaceful, unified society and believed that clear communication can help prevent issues like terrorism and oppression. Conversation theory suggests that learning happens through structured conversations that make ideas clear and more explicit. These conversations can take different forms, such as general discussions, focused subject-based talks, or decisions about how we learn. A key concept of this theory is teach-back, where learners explain what they've learned to others to deepen their understanding. Pax also identifies two types of learners: serialistic, who prefer a step-by-step approach, and holistic, who prefer seeing broader connections between ideas. In education, his theory emphasizes the importance of teachers clearly showing the relationship between concepts and allowing students to adapt the learning style that suits them best. Gordon Pax came up with the idea negotiation of meaning and scaffolding. Negotiation of meaning is where both people in a conversation need to try their best to understand each other and keep the discussion flowing, like native speakers would. They would figure out what they're talking about and help the conversation continue. Scaffolding is when one person helps the other to keep the conversation going. For example, a more skilled speaker supports someone with less language ability by rephrasing, asking questions, or helping them express themselves so the conversation doesn't end. And this is the conversation theory.
Okay, so basically our slideshow is about conversational theory, and so I got off my website for conversational theory and I kind of summarized the main ideas. So Pax believes that all teaching and learning interactions should be considered a conversation because you are one-on-one talking to another person. That's like you talking to your friend, even if it's just like, how was the weather or something. It's still a conversation. That's what the theory is. And then you get a formalized idea that in terms of the conversational theory involves two different human people engaging in a conversation with one another. These humans engaging in an interaction and talking with one another is counted as a conversation, is what the theory says. So basically, if I talk to you for like 2 to 5 seconds, it's still counted as a conversation because we both engage in a conversation. And then anytime people engage in small talk or just normal talking, it is counted as a conversation in conversational theory. That's basically what I was telling you earlier, like just two people start talking to each other. It should be considered a conversation. This is like, it's different because I didn't want to use what somebody else chose, so I put conversational topics, like what conversation topics are usually about. And it really depends on what type of person you are. So like, you can talk about whatever. So like, let's just compare the average high schooler between their conversational topics would be like video games, football, or food. Now, if you in elementary school, their average conversation would be about like toys or what they're going to do at recess. And it just depends on like the age group and like what they like. And now a conversation between two older men could be about the news and what they used to be able to do. And a conversation could be about anything, but you have to take into account what type of person it is in the conversation before you try and guess the topic. Okay, yeah. This is another different one. I was just doing like the average conversation times. This part like depends like small talk or like the heartfelt topic. So like a 5-minute conversation about like your favorite team you'll win this week, and a long conversation could be about your feelings, or it's just a variety of stuff. Many conversations don't last long just because the fact people mostly use small talk to make friends in today's world. Usually if it's not your friends nowadays, it's pretty hard to just have a 25-minute conversation with a stranger. One way you could do that is by beginning to know each other, like have a conversation about beginning to know each other and become great friends. And basically that's about like the conversation time. It depends on like if y'all like each other and like if y'all are engaging in the topic. And then this one just depends on like what the topic is about. So it's like if you depending on what topic of the day is, that's what it's about. But,
Hi, my name is Jesse Keatak, and this is my group project for the conversation theory. So, first off, I'm going to explain what it is. The theory of how a conversation works is between two or more people who exchange ideas and views with each other. Language is interpreted by the way people speak to each other and by having conversations. So, like, for example, me speaking to y'all right now, that's like just a one-way conversation, but if y'all were to speak back, that's like a full conversation. Conversation skills to have. The first skill to have when having a conversation with someone is to share your ideas. It can be hard to share your ideas with others when you don't feel comfortable with the person, but once you break the barrier of not having familiarity with the person, it is easier to have a conversation. So like once you're comfortable with someone, it's easier to talk to them and share more of your ideas. The second skill to use when having a conversation is listening. Listening to others when they speak to you is very important when having a conversation because it allows you to take in the information given. It also makes the person talking to you feel heard and understood. Some strategies to use when listening can come from your eyes. Looking at the person speaking helps you focus on the conversation. Using signals like nodding your head or using sounds to indicate you're listening to them is like a helpful way for the person that's speaking to you to understand that you're listening. The third skill to use when having a conversation is turn taking. That's very important because you don't want to just have a one-sided conversation where you just share your opinions and you don't get both sides of the point across. So turn taking is when taking turns when talking to someone is how a conversation works. You need to hear everyone's thought so you can give responses that relate to what they are saying. The fourth skill to use when having a conversation with someone is body language. So having a good body language when someone is speaking to you is important because it allows the speaker to know you are listening to them. Eye contact is an important part of the body language. Eye contact helps you listen, as I mentioned on the second skill, but you don't want to have too much eye contact to where it makes the conversation awkward. Another good body language to use is your facial expressions. The facial expressions you use when having a conversation with someone helps the speaker understand more of your thoughts on the topic. It allows them to interpret the emotions you are feeling. The last skill to use is your voice. Using your voice allows you to speak and create opinions and information for the other person to hear. You want to have a loud voice, but not too loud to where it sounds like you are yelling. You don't want to talk too soft because then you won't be heard clearly. If you speak at an easily understandable tone with stern pronunciation, it will be easier to understand. The tone of your voice is also important because it shows how you feel. For example, like if you're annoyed with a person in a conversation, you might sound more mad than if you were to have a happy conversation with like interest. You're going to sound more cheerful and like excited to share your thoughts. And that's it. And that's my work assignment.
Hi, I'm Olivia here, and this is my part of the project of the conversation theory. There are many disadvantages to conversations, such as culture differences, and there are many other identifications for there to be disadvantages in conversations. So one of them can be like, if you say something, it can like offend someone. So like you have to be careful on what you say. You can't like just like say something and then it's like offensive. Then like it's gonna be awkward. Another culture difference is language, which can cause a barrier. So it'd be like hard to communicate with someone. It can like you don't know what they're saying, and it's just you don't know what to talk to them. You don't know what to say to them because it's a language barrier. Another disadvantage is poor listening. So if someone's like, you're trying to tell someone, you're like, oh, I'm having a really bad day, you're not listening, you're gonna feel like you're not cared about because of it. And it just makes things very weird, honestly, and hurtful. Another one is overboarding someone with too much information. Too much information causes confusion and lack of sense. Same thing goes for like lack of communication for information, which causes also confusion as well. A lot of advantages can be helping with relationships, like friendships, love relationships, or family, anything like that. So if you're communicating with someone and like you're listening to them, you get to know them better. It helps with their getting to know each other, and it helps with like other things like respect, boundaries. And a good example of boundaries is hugging or like touching and like high fives or stuff like that. Like if you don't like ask like, hey, can I give you a hug? And you just give up a hug, they're gonna be like weirded out if they don't like it. And also like some people do not like to be hugged at all, it scares them. So it's always good to ask or like communicate with each other, give each other like boundaries and what is okay, what's not okay. It also helps to like understand someone's facial expressions or like just complete expressions at all. Like right now you can tell I'm nervous because I won't talk at all. It can help if you can see, you can relate to them and see if like they're upset, maybe happy, or they're moody. And communicating can help like you can relate to them. You can relate to your friends and say, oh yeah, I've been through that before. And that's just many of the disadvantages and advantages, and it helps a lot with communication and helping make friends. And that's it. This is my website I used.